and hope you're all keeping safe and well. Welcome to the Motorsports UK Karting Esports Championship. This, the Easter Series, the second night of semi-finals coming up for you tonight. We officially kicked off the racing yesterday. Of course, the competition running for 4 days last week in hot laps. But to talk you through the action this evening is going to be myself, Chris McCarthy, and joining me for this evening is Andrew Mather. Andrew, how are you doing?
Evening, Chris. Fantastic to be here and really looking forward to this tonight. Was watching intently last night, the first night where we saw our under 12s and our Motorsport UK licence holder classes compete. It was a fantastic night of racing, really exciting, really close. And I think we're in for more of the same here tonight with the Open Class.
Yes, indeed. It was brilliant racing yesterday. Of course, we got to see both the Motorsport UK class and the under 12 category. So we got to see the rental karts with the under 12 category, but the senior X30s as well with the Motorsport UK class, Andrew. So we got a little bit of a taste of what we're going to see tonight with the guys racing around GY-G.
Yeah, and you mentioned GY-G there. Personally, one of my favourite circuits in the country in real life. Karting, been lucky to race around there a couple of times myself. And every single time I go there, whenever there's someone new along who's perhaps not driven that circuit before, they always come out with a beaming smile on my face. It's a tale of two halves, really, Glan-Y-Gors, because you've got the very fast bits in the first sector and the second sector. They're really tight, technical stuff in the second sector. You couple that with something like the Senior X30 car. It's a brilliant piece of kit, fantastically modelled by the guys at KartSim. And you've just got a recipe for some really, really exciting action. You've got this really big field as well. In some of my prep yesterday, I was looking through the responses that we've had in from the drivers. Big thanks to all the drivers for those, letting us know who you are out there. By my calculations, we've got an age range of 38 years from the youngest to oldest driver tonight. You know, drivers from all over the world, not just Britain, really everybody getting involved in the whole esports phenomenon that's taking on motorsports at the moment. I think, yeah, it all just comes together in what should be a really exciting evening for us.
In case you weren't with us last night, let's tell you a little bit about the series and where we are at the moment. Over 300 drivers entered the series in the hot lap competition last week, where all the drivers that entered had 4 days to put in as many laps as they could. You could enter at any time, put in as many laps as possible. And if you are one of the 60 fastest in the Motorsport UK class or Open class, you got through to the semi-finals, and it was the top 40 who went through in the cadet classes. Over 300 drivers participated in total. 160 have now made it through to the semi-final stage. Yesterday, we saw 100 drivers racing. We had 60 drivers out in the Motorsport UK class and 40 drivers in the under 12 category. They were split into groups. Those groups then went and had a race each. In the Motorsport UK class, we had 3 groups of 20. The top 6 went through with 2 wildcards. They were the drivers, the non-qualifiers who set the fastest laps. And then we had the under 12s as well. Now, the under 12s were split into 2 different groups. The top 9 from each category went through. We have 18 through to the final, which will take place on Thursday, confirmed. However, in the under 12 category, we will be having another repechage race for the 18 drivers who did not qualify through to the final. On Thursday, it will be 1 race, and the top 2 will go through and join the back of the grid of the 18 qualifiers who have already qualified into the under 12 category. Now, that was because we believe some drivers had some problems making it onto the grid that was out of their control. It was the very first race in what is a brand new championship, the Motorsport UK Esports Karting Championship. So we feel it's only fair to give them another crack at it, with a lot of them, of course, spending a lot of hours trying to put their laps in the hot laps. Now, today we're going to have the Motorsport UK Open Class. The 2 classes we saw yesterday, Motorsport UK, which is for drivers 12 and over, and then the under 12s. You have to have a Motorsport UK license to race in that class. The Open, it's what it says in the title, really, open to anyone with 12 and over, and you can compete anywhere in the world as well. So as Andrew said, we're going to have quite a big age range in this. 60 drivers have qualified through. They're going to be split into 3 categories tonight. At the end of the hot laps, to drivers who were 1st, 4th and 7th, so on, go into Group A. 2nd, 5th, 8th downwards are into Group B. 3rd, 6th, 9th downwards are into Group C. They have already qualified. That has now set the grid for is going to be a 15-lap race around GYG. The top 6 in each class will qualify directly through to the final on Thursday. And then, Andrew, I'm going to ask you about this because, of course, the non-qualifiers, the 2 fastest of those are going to go through as wildcards. And what I mean by that is we take all the drivers outside of the top 6, we put their fastest laps together, and the 2 drivers at the top, they go through.
Yeah, it was a really intriguing part of the racing last night, especially in the Motorsport UK class, where that opportunity to get through via the wildcard setup was probably a little bit smaller, with more drivers going for just those 2 spots. I think what's really key is not getting too over enamored with the situation. If you have a bad start, if you're towards the front of the field, you've qualified well, but you have some bad luck early on, which we did see for a couple of drivers last night, don't panic. It's not over at that stage. You've still got that chance to get through by qualifying or putting in a good lap time during the race. But the other side of it as well is, I think you've got to make sure that you do that if you're in one of the earlier groups. Last night we saw the 3rd group, including the likes of Ty Stansfield and Connor Clifford. That was a really, really quick group. You wouldn't have thought it, because it was, how do you say, 3rd, 6th, 9th, the slightly slower drivers in terms of the hot laps around Buckmore Park. But that 3rd group was really, really quick. So even though we had drivers who'd done good lap times in the first 2 groups, they actually ended up getting knocked out because that 3rd group really worked together really well. And even though you had that top 6, you had 7th, 8th, 9th, all producing really strong laps. And they were the ones that took the spoils of war last night. So there's a tactical aspect to it, but it is a real thinking driver's game here. And you can't go too full send into it, because you could end up either out of the pack completely or out of the race, and you don't want that early on.
I think looking through the entry lists we have tonight, Andrew, I think particularly yourself, familiar the drivers, Andrew. Of course, a lot of these drivers have been drivers that used to race and then maybe come back to do something like Club 100 or PUKC when they've gone off to university. They're drivers that don't have a license, not have gone back to get a license. But this is a competition they can now enter. It's an open class. I'm sure a lot of the names are going to be familiar to you for that reason.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got a good mix of drivers who are on the arrive and drive scene around the UK, as you say, Club 100 and the BUKC 2 series. I'm very much involved with myself, but not just those series as well. Series like KartSim Sport, all around the country. A lot of those names that I see at the front end of those series have qualified through, and some who have picked up KartSim for the first time. Again, big thanks to everyone who got their driver responses in. Some of them saying, yep, I've picked up the game, I've had a go, I've no idea what I'm doing, but somehow I'm here. And it's great to have them on board. And I reckon some of them could do quite well. But then you've also got that mix of drivers, some drivers who we did see last night. This competition not just open to anybody, but also open to those with a license who kind of want two bites of the cherry in this competition just after Easter. So we've got quite a few of the names that we saw last night. I'm thinking of the likes of Brandon Williams, who you mentioned, very quick arrive and drive driver, has done a bit of clubman racing as well. He's back in tonight. So it'll be interesting to see for those guys. They maybe got a bit of an edge in that they had that practice, they had those race conditions yesterday, and now they're hoping to replicate that, or maybe even improve what they did from last night.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. As you said, a fewer drivers were in the Motorsport UK class and also in the open category as well. So we're going to be seeing some of those guys. Some of them already went through Motorsport UK class. Some perhaps didn't. So they've got a second bite at the cherry this evening. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. Send in your comments as well. We'll be reading those throughout the show. And we also must say thanks, of course, to our partners who are bringing you this series, this Motorsport UK, in association with Alpha Live, KartSim, and Motorsport Games, and sponsored by Fusion and Synergy. So a big thanks to those. Let's take a look at the grid, shall we? Yeah, we've talked about some of these names. Who are they? Let's go through the first grid. So this group contains the drivers who were first, fourth, seventh, and so on in the hot laps. It includes the drivers who was quickest overall at the end of the hot lap. One of those being Kieran Shanks. And Kieran Shanks has replicated the pace he's shown in the hot laps, and he has put it on pole position. So he actually said in his comments, I once said he did the overtake of the weekend at Fullbeck. Back in 2017 at a Super One event. There you can see Ben Hingley lines up alongside him. He was also second quickest overall in the hot laps. Now, Ben Hingley used to race in single-seaters. I'm sure some of you will be familiar with the name. Third in the BRDC F3 Championship back in 2017 and went on to race in the FIA F3 Championship a year later. We have Josh Irfan there in third place, definitely one of the youngest drivers in the class, racing in the likes of the FI Karting European and World Championships and so on. William Chadwick lines up alongside him again, went very well in the esports. He's an MBKC Junior Road Tax champion. Then we go to Adrian Ionesco on row number 3. We've got Matthew Fennell alongside him as well, half a second back from Shanks, so just shows how well Shanks went. On row number 4, you can see Bradley Shepherd there and Daniel Fletcher, the 33-year-old from Barnsley. Let's go then back to the next row. Bradley Shepherd, by the way, works for High-Tech in F2 and F3. We've got Sam Gornall. We saw him yesterday, the 13-year-old Vice British champion in Minimax last year. Darren Beavers, his son, is going to be out in the next group. Darren Beavers, the director of the Bambino Kart Club. Tom Bird and Jack Wright are going to be on row number 6. Alex Doddington and Vijay Ramlal will be on row number 7. Then we've got Megan Lawson and Henry Wardell on row number 8. And then going a little bit further back than that, we have on row number 9, Archie Gorbett, Jack Gault, Alfie Gallagher, and Ryan Neve as well. So that is the grid, Andrew. What do you think?
A good mix, really good mix there for our first group of the night, as you say. A couple of those drivers we saw last night competed very well, or didn't compete so well, had a bit of bad luck. Good to see them back as well. But then some new names as well. As you say, we didn't see Kieran Shanks last night. He's been on absolutely brilliant form. Won in the hot laps phase of this competition, and he's done exactly what he needed to do here. He wants a nice simple run here from pole position across these 15 laps, because I don't need you don't need me to tell you, Chris, that there's going to be absolute chaos going on behind, especially around that 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th region of the field, as they all try and scramble through for one of those 6 automatic spots through to the final at PFI.
It's going to be fantastic. And just the variation we have throughout the field, it's just been fantastic to have drivers. I said it quite a few times yesterday. I'll say it again, though. Drivers racing at FIA level in karting, racing against drivers who perhaps racing in things like Kovkart, like you mentioned, Natska as well. So drivers who are in the Arrive and Drive scene, Club 100, BUKC, things like that, racing against these guys at the very, who are in the very, very top level of karting. So brilliant to have these guys all onto one grid. Andrew, looking at that first group, anyone there that particularly stands out to you? Any ones to watch you have that are perhaps standing a little bit further down the order?
Yeah, I'm interested to see how Josh Irfan does tonight. I've watched him a couple of times. He was 13th in the hot laps phase of the competition. He's qualified in a decent position tonight, but he's got work to do there to make sure he is in that top 6. As you mentioned, there's quite a few BUKC people in there as well that I'll keep my weathered eye on. Also, to give a shout out to, as I say, some of the drivers with a bit more experience, or maybe coming back to the sports and the esports fashion. Daniel Fletcher, good to see him there. As you say, the 33-year-old from Barnsley has done a lot of racing around Woodthorpe, currently does a bit of racing in KZ class. So, yeah, intrigued to see how he does.
Well, it's going to be a 15-lap race. As we said, the top 6 will go directly through to the final. Outside of that, you've got to be setting a good lap time. On the front row, it's going to be Kieran Shanks versus Ben Hingley. Let's see who gets to the first corner first. And behind that, we've got the likes of Irfan and Chadwick as well. Ionesco, Fennell, Shepherd, Fletcher, Gornall, Bird as well. They're the drivers lining up. It is going to be a standing start, 15-lap race. This is the first of 3 races we are going to be bringing you this evening. Semi-final A for the Motorsport UK Open Class is go. And we go in towards turn number 1 here at GYG. Everyone through
nice and safely. They won't be carrying too much speed there on the first lap, but as I say that, definitely one or two people on the grass in the background as they make their way up towards the hairpin. There we can see Kieran Shanks leading the way, Ben Hingley in second, Josh Irfan in third place. He qualified through yesterday in the Motorsport UK class, trying to do the same here this evening in the Motorsport UK Open Class. Looks like Chadwick is then in fourth place, Ionesco in fifth, Shepherd in sixth, Gornall in seventh, Fletcher in eighth, Doddington in ninth, and Darren Beavers in 10th.
Yeah, quite a few drivers in trouble there, Chris, towards the back of the field. I think Achille Gobert, unfortunately, is one of them. He's not come through on timing yet. But Kieran Shanks, what a start for him. Straight away, 1.2 seconds in the lead ahead of Ben Hingley. As I said, the BRDC Formula 3 racer finished third in that championship a few years ago. Irfan, Chadwick, Adrian and Shepherd currently your top six, with Sam Gornall and Daniel Fletcher on the outside looking in.
See Kieran Shanks doing a brilliant job out front at the moment, just pulling away from the rest of the field. You see Ben Hingley there in second place. He's under a little bit of pressure at the moment, but at the moment all of these guys are going to be going through in terms of the top three as well as the top six. So the top six it is who is going to go directly through to the final on Thursday as they make their way down Dragon Straight up towards the Spoon. We ride on board then with seventh place at the moment, coming through the hairpin and then back downhill once again. Bradley Shepherd is just ahead of us on screen as they make their way through the carousel. Early stages, it doesn't look like there's been too much carnage, Andrew. All fairly well behaved, I'd have to say. In some of the races yesterday, it did get a little bit messy on the opening couple of laps, but at the moment, so far, so good.
No, very, very tidy from the open class drivers. As you say, a lot of these drivers don't have a Motorsport UK licence, but a lot of them do have good racecraft, good experience from other series, and they're showing that here. Intriguing position this for Sam Gornall, because he's in seventh place at the moment, and there's been a couple of moments where Bradley Shepherd's got out of line a little bit. At the moment though, Chris, this is early in the race. There's a good gap there back to eighth placed Daniel Fletcher. If I'm Sam Gornall, I'd just stick with this pack at the moment. It's the leading train. These are the quick guys out on circuit. No need to make a move at this stage of the race. Just focus on getting a good lap time in.
I think that's definitely correct at the moment, isn't it? As they make their way up towards the final corner. You can see lap number 5 of 15 we are on at the moment as they come through turn 1 and down Dragon Straight. We're looking at the battle for sixth place here. This will be the final qualifying spots. We got Gornall and Fletcher there coming into Spoon. Very close battle for this, isn't it? We can see from fifth backwards as just a little bit of a mistake there from eighth place. That was Fletcher in the background, just getting a little bit out of shape before they were coming back downhill. And Fletcher has kind of taken himself out of this battle now, Andrew.
Yeah, that's a real shame. Daniel Fletcher was trying to get back on terms. There's a little bit of contact, I think, there between Shepherd and Gornall as they're going through Devil's Elbow. Yeah, Fletcher's now, he's only really focused on the fast lap now. The gap's too big, even though we're not even halfway through this race. I'd be very surprised if he's able to get back up to that top six. So he's just got to hope now that he can get the hammer down, get a clean lap, maybe get some help from those behind him to help him along. Two engines always better than one. In KartSim, but we're still on board here with Sam Gornall going through the carousel corner now. Double apex left-hander, brilliant corner. Great to see it here on the game. Then very tricky corner this, compression corner. Here we are into the technical section now with the right, the left, then the right through Devil's Elbow. Gornall, as I say, just sticking on the rear bumper of Shepherd at the moment. Doesn't need to make a move. The lap times he's doing at the moment, 41.694 is the fastest lap for Gornall. Although I have to say that is actually being beaten at the moment by Daniel Fletcher. And actually, Fletcher's just on a 41.203. So now, does Gornall start thinking about going for the move down the inside into Spook Corner? Bit of pod to pod there, but he's through. That was a decisive manoeuvre there by Sam Gornall. I think it was absolutely spot on. He had to make the move because Daniel Fletcher is on a bit of a mission here.
Yeah, well, Bradley Shepherd's going to have to respond now, isn't he, as they make their way down towards Devil's Elbow. So Bradley Shepherd, you sort of wonder if it's almost worth moving aside here and allowing Fletcher through, because
Fletcher is absolutely flying at the moment. These two are going to have to work together, because since getting past, Sam Gornall has already put a bit of space between himself and Shepherd as they head down the Dragon Straight. We ride on board with Bradley Shepherd as they come up the hill towards the Spoon. There you can see just getting a little bit on the grass on the outside there was Gornall as they now make their way down towards the carousel. We've got UNESCO just a little bit up the road there in 5th place as well, and UNESCO definitely not safe either. Top 6 go through, so at the moment Bradley Shepherd, if he can't set one of the fastest laps, will be the one to just miss out. But we concentrate on fastest laps, but at the same time, Andrew, we've got to remember there's still 2 more semi-finals to come, and it's the top 2 fastest laps of the non-qualifiers that go through. So really, particularly in the first semi-final, I'd say, Andrew, you want to be in that top 6. If you're in semi-final C, you can perhaps rely on setting a good lap time to take you through, but in the first one, you really want to be safe and get into that top 6. But we look at Daniel Fletcher. A bit of a mistake dropped Daniel Fletcher briefly away from this battle for the last qualifying position, but he is now starting to come back into play.
He has indeed. Top 4, meanwhile, I've checked out here. Oh, side-by-side competition going on there. Is that Gornall trying to get past Adrian? I think it is. And Adrian's got it all to do now. Held on to 5th place there. But here's the long run then. Up the Dragon Straight. Great opportunity to slipstream. Can Gornall get the move done the same as he did on Shepherd a few laps ago? Yes, he's done it before the corner. Great stuff there from Sam Gornall, up into 5th place. Someone's gone wildly off circuit there. That's definitely a bit of cutting the course. So now Adrian is vulnerable there in that 6th place, just ahead of Bradley Shepherd and Daniel Fletcher just behind.
Yeah, I don't know who was that went off. Was that, I'm trying to think, that wasn't Shepherd, was it, who went flying off? So definitely someone. I did see, actually, as the move was being made back there, I saw someone going a little bit sideways. So I think maybe it was Shepherd perhaps who had spun and then just found himself going across the grass. But, well, we won't say unless we don't know for sure. But what we can say is that this is the battle for the last qualifying space. And there we go. That's Daniel Fletcher going round, and Shepherd's gone off as well. So Adrian UNESCO here in 6th place. Looks like he could be safe now with a gap to, it's going to be Vijay Ramlal perhaps, who may pick up 7th. I think at the moment Fletcher still has it just about, but that corner, the Spoon, Andrew, is caught people out yesterday. The same thing is happening again today.
It's such a tricky corner, Chris. You're coming over the brow of that hill. It's one where you've got to have a lot of bravery, because you can't see the apex of the corner. You can't see your braking zone. A split second before, you know you're going to have to use it. But a mistake there from Fletcher and Shepherd. And say Vijay Ramlal's now up to 8th place. But if you're UNESCO, Adrian, you're breathing a sigh of relief now as there's contact there. And that's Ramlal off and in the grass at Spoon Corner again. He's recovered, but lost a number of positions there. I think he's down to 11th place. But just to go back to this guy here, UNESCO Adrian, you know, he kept a cool head there. He was under a lot of pressure from those outside the top 6, but they cracked, he didn't, and now he's just got to make sure that he keeps eyes forward and that he's going to get this top 6 and through to that final at PFI.
One of us is saying it's wrong, isn't it? I thought it was Adrian UNESCO. Well, if we both say it different ways, one of us is going to be right. We just keep doing that for the rest of the race. Either way, he's 32 years old, Hungarian, and is the indoor karting world champion. So there we go, trains kart drivers over in Hungary. One of us will be right, and at the moment, he's going to go through to the final anyway, and then we can make sure we are for the final. In 3rd place at the moment, trying to close down Ben Hingley, Josh Irfan, who is, of course, racing with Ricky Flynn Motorsport at the moment. Josh Irfan, only around 12 or 13 years old, one of the youngest drivers that we have in this class, and is catching Ben Hingley at the moment, as we said, the ex-F3 racer. Just behind is William Chadwick in 4th place at the moment, the 17-year-old from Wigan. So William Chadwick, let's go on board with him, shall we? This next section of corners happens very, very quickly. Here we go through the double right-hander into the left-hander, now into devil's elbow, take a lot of curb through there, and then you get back across through this left-hander to go into the final corner. I can say from driving around that circuit, Andrew, that bit happens very, very quickly. But already, just like that, this caught me and Chaz out quite a few times yesterday. We're on to the final lap of the race.
We are indeed. 15 laps flies by just like that. This has been a good drive from all of these guys towards the front of the field. Just got to mention, though, people are probably wondering, where's Kieran Shanks gone? He is absolutely checked out. He's got a 4-second lead. He's the only, in fact, I think he's the first driver I've seen in race conditions over the last 2 nights, Chris, who's down under the 41-second mark. Here he is, Kieran Shanks, absolutely dominant. What domination there from Kieran Shanks. Takes the first race of the evening. We'll see him at PFI. And it's Ben Hindley, Josh Irfan and William Chadwick. They're through as well. We wait a little bit. Good drive that from Sam Gornall. Had to work hard. Takes 5th place. And it's Adrian there in 6th. Daniel Fletcher 7th. But by the looks of it, Chris, I think he's the fastest driver outside of that top 6. So at the moment, if nothing changes on fastest laps, we'll see him again in the final at PFI.
There we go then. There you can see the rest of the field. Jack Wright, Matthew Fennell, Darren Beavers in 10th place. Outside of the top 10, we did briefly see him. I think it'd be a good time to just mention this because thanks to all the drivers, I think it was over 130 drivers in the end sent in commentary forms, and some of them was some really interesting stuff. And I think one that we did pick up that definitely I think is worth a read. Vijay Ramlal we saw in that race, the 14-year-old from Bromsgrove. Unfortunately, didn't make it through that as he had a little bit of an off. But Vijay suffers with chronic recurrent multifocal osteomyelitis. I don't think, I'm not sure if I said that right or not, but it is. Yeah, there we go. On the spot, there we go. Bang. It is a condition where the immune system attacks his bones. He uses his racing to promote awareness of this rare condition. So, VJ, you're still doing that, even if you're not in the Daniel Ricciardo series at the moment, you're still doing that through esports. So, good job and keep it up. It's Adrian Ionescu. I've just seen it.
Apologies.
There we go. See, look, we bring him in for, this is point, we bring him in for one night and already
he screws up.
It's only Group A. Oh, wow. There we go. Where's Chaz? well, there you go. Andrew, that was your first one commentating on the Motorsport UK Karting Esports Championship. What did you think of it?
It's remarkable, I find, as to how similar it is to Motorsport UK Club Racing. You know, you're never quite sure where to turn to because there's always something going on out there. Short, punchy racing. It's just what this level of karting is all about. And again, props to KartSim for being able to capture that so well. Even though this is a sim, I mean, primarily a lot of drivers use this for training, and we're still in the development phases of getting this set up for more race simulations. But it's not far off, I have to say. It's very, very similar to some of the stuff that I've watched around the country. It's fantastic.
First race down, 2 more still to come. We're still going to have semi-final B and semi-final C as well. But part of helping get this stream to you this evening is our sponsors, Fusion and Synergy. We have to say a big thanks to them. If you don't know about Synergy, if you know anything about cadet racing, I'm sure you do. But in case you don't, they have won the British Cadet title 4 times in the last 6 years, including at their first attempt in 2014. We say a big thanks to them for helping us get this stream to you. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back very shortly. Well, there we go. Thanks very much. Andrew, well, first of all, two more to come still. We've got final B and semi-final C still to come. I think we saw in that race that people, once they're in the top 6, seem to be playing very safe. I think that's probably the more sensible thing to do. How did you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's often the thing that we see with races where there's something forward on from that race to race 4. sort of felt a little bit in a way like a B final, a repechage final. I know it's something that yourself and Chaz have been talking about, that, winning's nice. Winning, getting into the front, there's a bit of pride in that, and Kieran Shanks will be very happy with that performance. But the drivers behind, there's no point fighting for second, third, fourth, fifth, because the likelihood is you're just going to encourage drivers further down the road into your battle, and whilst that happens, you've then got an increasing chance of ending outside of the top six. So yeah, I mean, second, third, and fourth did absolutely what they needed to do, got their heads down, worked as a trio, got themselves through. Yes, that fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth battle was a little bit more tense, and it was always going to be the way that someone was going to crack and make a mistake there. And well done to Sam Gordel and Adrian Ionesco for making sure that it wasn't them, and we'll see them at PFI.
Well, let's take a look at the grid, shall we? Hopefully we can have a look at that for group number B. We do want to have a look, of course, at some of the drivers, show you who is where, and talk you a little bit more through them. So let's pull up the grid on screen for you then. This is the guys who in hot laps were second, fifth, eighth, downwards. Now, there we can see right at the top of the standings is Jake Walker. Now, I believe this is the same Jake Walker, finished fifth in the British Championship in Junior TKM back in 2011. Champion that year actually was Toby Sowery, and Danny Curl was second. So it was a very strong grid that year. Jake Walker was third in the championship. Now, mostly mechanics around the paddock, so you do always see him around. Max Herbert was second. Look how close that was, only a couple of hundredths between the top two. Max Herbert, who was actually a second quickest overall in hot laps. Alex Tyler was very unfortunate not to go through in his group yesterday. Unfortunately, had a disconnection right near the end of the race. So let's see if he can get himself through to the finals on Thursday this evening. Cameron Marston is then alongside in fourth place. Then we have Slawomir Vishor, whose son was racing yesterday. David Slawomir, 42 years old. Let's see if Slawomir can get through. Let's see. I know a few of the drivers have been saying to me that they have found it even worse that their parents are right next to them, shouting at them what to do. David, you can repay the favor, my friend. Shout at your dad. Tell him to overtake when he shouldn't. Tell him to stay behind when he shouldn't. Get your own back. There's Bradley Beavers. Of course, his dad just came 10th in that first group. Let's see if Bradley can get himself through. David van der Holst is there. We've got Nathan Maximin there as well. Alexander Vanderwood, George Palozzi, Kieran Chidsey. We saw him yesterday. He is on row 7. Josh Neve, Alan Smith is in there as well, a pro kart racer. Then let's pull up the rest of the grid, shall we? There you can see we've got Nathan Gibbs. We've got at the back of the field Matthew Angel, the 12-year-old. So one of the youngest we have in this grid, has won 6 Buckmore Park rookie wins and was runner-up rookie of the year there as well. So fairly new to the sport, one of the youngest as well, but it's going to give it a go. Well, there we go. I'd say again, we've got drivers up and down there, all of different experiences. If you like, Alex Tyler, very unfortunate that he wasn't able to get through yesterday after that disconnection. But Chaz mentioned it. I guess it's like a mechanical failure, isn't it, Andrew, in the virtual world?
Yeah, it was really unfortunate for him yesterday to have that. But as you say, we see that in real life racing where a chain goes with 2 laps to go, or a stub axle breaks early on that curtails someone's performance. Thankfully, we don't see the wheels and the chains falling off in this form of karting. But yes, there's always the dreaded disconnect there to bite a driver. And hopefully we don't see any of that for the remainder of this evening. Just wanted to update you, Chris, on what the fastest lap stakes are looking like. This is all very provisional. I'll stress that word with a capital P. Daniel Fletcher set a 41.203. That was pipped, though, by Bradley Shepherd, who got a 41.170. So at the moment, those are the 2 fastest non-qualifiers. But just to show how close this is, Darren Beavers misses out as of right now by 16 thousandths of a second with a 41.219. So really, really close stuff out there at the moment. And as you say, 2 more races still to come. So So that's the benchmark, 41.2. And that's similar to what we saw last night in the Motorsport UK class for what you needed to get through on that basis.
We've had some comments coming in. Let's get those up on screen for you. Top 6 Bradley, I'm cheering for you. Let us know who you're cheering for. And thank you there, Luke, for sending that comment in. We'll try and get another one up on screen for you now. We've got Ryan M. Racing there saying, go Nathan, my mate, in P11. Good race to you, buddy. Yep. Very good stuff, of course, and all for good fun as well. That's mainly what this is all about, to help us keep racing during isolation. Keep your comments coming in. Sam Fowler, brother to Joe Fowler, of course, who comfortably went through yesterday. Max Tad, his racing hero, he's mine as well. So there you go. You all know Max Tad if you follow MDT Photography on Instagram. If you don't, check him out, because he's a very, very good photographer, and he works in Nando's. So I think that's partly why he's Sam Fowler's hero. But that's something people are missing more than anything right now. How are we coping without it? I don't know. But there you go. Get the comments coming in, guys. Let us know how you're enjoying the stream. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe as well. We've got Andrew Mather with us from Double Dash Motorsport Media this evening. Andrew, how have you been keeping yourself busy during isolation? How have you been coping?
I've not been too bad. Was working all the way through last week. This week's a bit of a week off, scheduled week off. I don't think people were quite expecting it to be like this. I've been trying to get involved a little bit on the esports side with certain games. I know Motorsport Games have done stuff with the Codemasters Dirt games in the past. I've been enjoying that a lot. Dirt Rally 2.0. Not very good at it, I will admit, but yeah, got to keep yourself busy, and that's one of the things that I've been doing.
There we go. Trying to maybe we'll see you on the grid sometimes.
Maybe. I highly doubt it, but I'll keep having a go.
Well, why don't we talk about some more of the drivers, shall we? As we said, we've got Max Tad there. Maybe we can pull up the grid one more time if we have time. Maybe we can talk about some of the others on there. If not, we'll roll with it. Nathan Maximan, actually, he said on his form that he's struggling with the setup on KartSim, and that could be a good thing to talk about right now. Why not? But setup is very much open. You change as many things as possible, so it adds that sense of realism into it, because in karting, getting the right setup can take quite a long time. So I think that's a good element of KartSim, isn't it, Andrew? Because I know there's drivers like Harry Cottrell, for example, been actually helping other drivers with setup. He went through yesterday. He was telling me that he's actually been helping some other drivers out there get their setups right. So I don't know if he's been making a few quid off of that as well. But it does take a lot to actually get the setup right, and it takes a lot of hours. And I know one of the drivers told me he'd spent about 600 hours or something on KartSim. So it takes a long time.
Yeah, it's one of the aspects of motorsport esports that I think to people who are new to it, they're not quite fully up to speed with. You know, we talk about, say, from the arcade to the sim level in terms of handling, but then, yeah, the fine details that games such as KartSim, rFactor 2, others as well at that level allow the drivers to do. And you can spend hours and hours and hours and hours. It's one of the areas where I fall down on this kind of thing. You know, fine-tuning your setup in whatever vehicle that you're racing. So props to all of these drivers, because they clearly worked on that a lot to be getting the lap time out of the senior X30 carts.
There we go. On pole position, Jake Walker actually, I believe he still does, spanners for our sponsors, Fusion Motorsport. So he's going to be on pole position. Great to see him back. As we said, raced in Junior TKM back in the day, didn't do too badly, even finishing third in the British Championships. He's going to go off the front row. The 16-year-old Max Herbert starts alongside him. Alex Tyler with a disconnect, desperately trying to get through today. He starts third. Here we go then. Cameron Marston to the outside of row 2, and we are away and racing in towards turn number 1. We go. Max Herbert looks to get the better of the starts. Oh no, someone spun 2 off into the barriers there, unfortunately. So 2 go tumbling down the order. We'll pick up who they are in just a second, but the rest of the field continue up towards Spoon then. Oh, and 2 more off, unfortunately there. So drivers going off everywhere on this first lap. It's allowed the likes of Jake Walker, who got a good start, to get away. Max Herbert going with him. Ty Stansfield, who drove well yesterday, he is there in 3rd place at the moment. Cameron Marston is 4th place. Max Tad
in 5th, and Bradley Beavers trying to get through. His dad couldn't quite make it, but he is there in 6th place at the moment.
But crucially, Chris, Alex Tyler was one of the drivers involved in that first lap incident, so bad luck again for Tyler here at GYG. He's tumbled down to the bottom of the order. Can he work his way back up? Can he set one of those fast lap times? Remember, 41.2 is the benchmark for where you need to be if you're going to be outside the top 6, but racing through as a lucky loser. Lap 2 then, here we've got our eye on Ty Stansfield. Saw him race last night in a better position at this stage of the race than he was in his race last night, where he had to race from outside the top 6 and get in there. Here he is, 3rd place. And as we were saying before, Chris, when you're in this position, it's eyes forward, keep things calm, because you're in a good spot here to see yourself through into that final.
Yeah, it looks like Bradley Beavers is there in 6th. Van der Wilde, I think, is the one trying to close in at the moment. Chidsey not too far behind that as they, there we go, in towards us. Max Tad making a move for 4th place. Good move, had to get his elbows out a little bit to do it, and it's dropped Marston down into that 6th place. Just ahead of Marston then is Bradley Beavers. So Bradley Beavers really has just kept himself out of trouble, and out of that he's got himself into 5th place. And it can be as easy as that sometimes. If you keep yourself on the road, out of trouble, you can pick up places just like that. And Bradley Beavers now in 5th place. But it is a fairly long race, Andrew. 15 laps overall. We're on lap number 4 now as they head on to the Dragon Straight 1-4. And we now ride on board with Alexander van der Wilde, who is in 7th, staring at a potential qualifying spot just ahead of him, with Cameron Marston there in 6th.
Yeah, trying to chase down Cameron Marston, 15 years of age, from Poole in the south of England. He's just keeping his eye on Bradley Beavers. 2 of them trying to work together at the moment. Alexander van der Wilde won't make the move yet, still very early, not even a third of the way through this race. Doesn't want to encourage the likes of Kieran Chidsky into this battle. And Kieran's a quick driver, races a lot in Club 100, is a super heavyweight driver in Club 100, the 2nd in the Sprints Championship for that category last season. Very, very good in terms of racecraft, I can tell you, Chris, having watched him a lot myself. But these drivers just keeping it calm, not getting too racy as of yet. Remember, we're not even halfway down into the carousel. And here is Cameron Marston back on board with Alexander van der Wilde. I think Bradley Beavers, Chris, is just starting to break away a little bit there. The driver who does a lot of racing. Oh, was that an error? Was that an error for Marston? Yes, it was. So Marston makes the mistake. Wasn't really forced into the mistake either. That was very, very strange there. But he's managed to just about get it all together. I think, have we lost another driver, though? Because Marston's appearing as now 6th. Ty Stansfield. Something's happened to Ty Stansfield because he's fallen, Chris, all the way down to 8th.
Yeah, well, there we can see Marston then up into 6th place. As you said, Kieran Chidsey has now come into play here. So Kieran Chidsey starting to get involved in this again, has been able to pick up places with some incidents going on. But Chidsey starting to show some good pace now. He is closed in on Cameron Marston. As you said, Beavers has done really well in these sort of last 3 to 4 laps here, starting to set some really good pace, and has now got into a comfortable 4th place. But now we go on board with Chidsey as we go down Dragon Straight, staring at the back of Cameron Marston at the moment as they make their way up towards the spoon. There you can see just getting a little bit out of shape there was Marston. I think that may have threw Chidsey off momentarily, but now gets it back together once again, a little bit wide there. I think Chidsey may be trying to rush this boot. I think I'm just hearing someone's had a drive-through, unfortunately, but Chidsey there place at the moment. Oh no, it's Jake Walker, I'm hearing, that's had a drive-through penalty. So Jake Walker, unfortunately, I don't know if that was for a jump start or not, but Jake Walker has received a drive-through penalty from 2nd place.
Yeah, I think we'll have to see if this is confirmed. I think it may have been contact with Ty Stansfield, what I'm hearing in my ear. But this is good news now for Kieran Chidsey here. I don't know if he'll be aware of what's happening out ahead. But once Walker takes that penalty, you've got to think that these 2 drivers will be up to 5th and 6th, respectively. And it just shows in this kind of sprint racing, Chris, how much the dynamic of a race can change just like that. Because at the moment, these 2 know they're fighting for that final spot. Once that penalty, and here comes Walker, you see him falling down the order now. These two drivers will now work together, knowing that they're in 5th and 6th place. No 0.5 per second. That kid just got a good run out of turn 1. Of the right, tries to go for the long move around the outside, and well, now hope they realise they're in 5th and 6th, and they can just keep working together, keep bump tracking together, and make sure that they don't fall into the clutches of Ty Stansfield.
I have to say that is a real shame for Jake Walker, but it's a decision I think he's going to look back on this evening, because having pushed Ty Stansfield at Devil's Elbow, really there was no need for it. The top 6 are going to go through. I know it's been probably a while since Jake Walker has raced competitively, but what a shame, a mistake. He's pushed Ty Stansfield and now he's going to pay the price, but Chidsey is going to run wide here, trying to come down the inside. That's Ty Stansfield. So having been pushed off, Ty Stansfield is now back on the recovery, back into a qualifying position. So great stuff this from Ty Stansfield, the driver who third in the Daniel Ricciardo series last year, now into the top 6. Cameron Marston just ahead. This is thrown Kieran Chidsey off. Chidsey now trying to get settled once again. Chidsey, for the majority of the race, has found himself in the either just inside a qualifying position or just out. He's had a pretty eventful race so far as Kieran Chidsey, and that continues. However, Andrew, look at Ty Stansfield ahead. Ty Stansfield, who had the pace to be right up the front, now could start having a battle with Marston. That could bring Chidsey back into play as we go into the last third of this race. So Chidsey may be in 7th at the moment, but this race far from over.
Yeah, he's just got to keep calm, Chidsey, at the moment, and he'll know that. He's had this experience before, being in this position, seen him come through this kind of thing well in Club 100 in the past, because he knows Stansfield is going to get at least onto the rear bumper of Marston. Now that will be the intriguing bit. Will Stansfield push Marston along just to retain that 5th and 6th place as things stand, or will he go for the move? That's the opportunity Chidsey will be looking for to capitalise on any ramifications from that. We also need to point out, though, Chris, Alex Tyler span off on lap 1, but is absolutely flying. He's got himself back up to 10th place, but crucially, has set a 41.109. That's currently the fastest lap of anyone not through to the PFI final. It is a very, very good benchmark to have, especially with one group to go. On board still with Ty Stansfield, 2 laps to go after this corner here, and Marston looking a little bit under pressure right on the rear bumper now. What is Stansfield going to do? Is he going to push Marston? Yes, he is. That's good teamwork there, but Stansfield goes to the inside almost as they go up through Spoon Corner, but that definitely looked to me, Chris, as if Stansfield is happy to just sit there in 6th and push Marston along.
I think that was just a brief sort of change of mind there, if you like. Ty Stansfield went to stay behind, then thought, let's have a little look, and then just thought the better of it. So I think it was a good decision in the end. Oh, Kieran Chidsey almost running into the back there of Ty Stansfield. We're getting into the latter stages of this race now. There's going to be 2 laps to go as Chidsey comes across the line, and these 3 currently battling it out for 2 spaces through to the final directly. And I think just behind this as well, we've got someone else getting involved. So we're going to have 4 drivers potentially now involved in this battle, Andrew, as they make their way downhill.
There's a spinner though, so someone's fallen off the road, because all of a sudden Stansfield is Marston. Where's Cameron Marston gone? He's fallen, I think, down to 8th place, so it's now Stansfield in 5th, Chidsey in 7th, and it's David van der Hulst who's trying to get in there as well in the blue helmet in 7th place. But if this stays as it is, it's Ty Stansfield and Kieran Chidsey getting those last 2 spots. Yes, I think they do. Yes, they were across the final. No, they're on the last lap now. Apologies. Leaders crossed the line on last lap. He's that far ahead. It's Max Herbert. So 1 lap for these guys to do. Can Stansfield and Chidsey hold these positions? Van der Hulst, what's his pace like? It's not bad. It's not bad. He's had a quiet race, but he's in it here on the final lap as they go through Carousel Corner for the last time.
Yeah, Van der Hulst trying to get in. Up front, Max Herbert's going to go through that battle. We really need to keep an eye on, though. But going to take the win is going to be Max Herbert. Max Tad second. Oh, coming across the line in spectacular fashion is Bradley Beavers. Van der Hulst is going to be fourth. Ty Stansfield fifth. And Kieran Chidsey will take that sixth and final space. Van der Hulst, unfortunately, just misses out. I'm sure Andrew furiously working out lap times now. And I'm sure he'll be able to bring us the update on that. Marston is eighth. Then it's Palozzi in ninth. Tyler is 10th place then. Then we had Vishaw in 11th, who went off on the first lap. So I think that was Mamassi then 12th. Josh Neve, Alan Smith, who went off at the first corner. Matthew Angel, Gibbs, Jake Walker, who had a drive-through as well. So there we go, Andrew. That's pretty much everyone across the line by the looks of it. Oh, dear, and we've just had an update. Sorry. Well, Andrew keeps to work that out. Ty Stansfield has received a 10-second penalty. So more drama post-race. I think in terms of drama, that's the most dramatic race we've had so far in this competition, Andrew.
Wow, I need to catch my breath after that one. Yeah, that was quite frantic out there. At the moment, what I think we've got is Alex Tyler got a good lap in now, 41.109. Now, of course, as I say, I'm going to use that P word again, provisional. So at the moment, provisionally, he's top of those who've not got a top six. Now, Ty Stansfield, as you say, 10-second penalty. Not quite sure what it's for, but that's what we're hearing in our ears. That's going to drop him down to, I reckon, about 12th place, around where Nathan Maximin and Alan Smith were. But, and this is a very big but, and very provisional, he did set a good lap time of 41.157. Now, whether that will stand remains to be seen. But if it does, he's in second place of those on the outside looking in, but having a good lap time. If it doesn't stand, though, Bradley Shepherd would be the beneficiary because he's still got his 41.17 from Group A. But it's all to play for. Very, very quick lap times indeed. And as we saw last night, it was Group C, the third race of the evening, that was the quickest, and where our fastest losers, our lucky losers, came from.
I think what it is, when they get to semi-finals, they know they're the last race, they're the last ones to go through, and when it comes to lap times, if there's going to be wildcards going through, they're the last ones that have the opportunity to go and take that. So I think as you go along in the races, and I've seen this in the past with other championships I've commentated on, in elimination process, when you get to the last race, they've kind of watched semi-final A and semi-final B, and they've been able to then perhaps change their tactics from what they have seen play out in those two races. Of course, they'll probably, if they're the younger drivers, going to have their parents screaming over, don't overtake. But Andrew, I'm sure, is going to be on the pulse for us in terms of lap time. Let's have a look at the grid, shall we, for this third and final race. So in it, on pole position, we're going to have Brandon Williams. We saw him go through yesterday. He's won things like the Teesside 24-hour multiple arrive and drive championships. Sam Spinell races in the BUKC with Coventry. He's going to be alongside Ryan Elliott. Good to see him in here. He raced in road tax classes with Thule Motorsport a few years back. Good to see him in this. Harrison Crook is going to be alongside him on row number 2. Jack Dex, great to see Jack Dex competing. He has his rig on his kitchen table, he told us in his form. He finished third in the British Championships in 2007 and 2009. Did some single-seater racing as well. Stefan Kessler is alongside him. Then we have Giulio Scrinzi. Jack Aldis is then on row number 4. David Jarvis is going to be on row number 5 with Will Davis. A shout out to him. He's going to be rounding out the top 10 at the moment. Daniel Belladonna and Joe Sumner are going to be on row 6. Joe Sumner and Will Davis, good mates, so I'm sure that could get a little bit messy there on row 5 and 6. Robbie Rigby and Jack Bird are row number 7. Demetrius Soumanis is going to be on row number 8 with James Ives. And then rounding out the field, let's have a look who is rounding it out and what order they stand. We'll get that up in just a second for you. There we go. Chloe Buckley, Harry Buck. Good to see Harry Buck. I used to race Harry Buck in Junior Rotax a few years back, so good to see him out there. Michael Ark as well. So there we go. There we go, Andrew. That's the grid. I'm sure some recognisable names in there for you from things like BUKC. It's going to be a good one, this.
Oh, absolutely. I do want to give a good shout out to Michael Ark because I think he's our oldest competitor tonight, 50 years of age, from Aalborg in Denmark, and races X30 for fun, for the best reason in my book. So great to have Michael along. But as you say, a number of drivers in this final race of the evening, Chris, that the talents I'm very aware of, in particular Sam Spinell, formerly the Leaning Tower of Hertfordshire, doesn't race for Hertfordshire University anymore, now races for reigning champions Coventry, and he's had a very good season so far over the winter in the BUKC, so be interesting to see how he does in this fair. It's funny how the world works as well, because the last gig, the last commentary that I did before the whole lockdown started was at Glan-Y-Gors, was at BUKC, and did have Sam Spinell in there. So, yeah, in fact, I was in that box right there as we're looking at the screen. I was in that position at that window. It's a strange world that we live in. But there's another name that I want to give a shout out to in terms of BUKC, Stefan Kessler, very quick driver, 24 years of age, from Munich in Germany, races for the University of Nottingham. Yeah, a very, very fast grid, this last one of the evening, Chris. And as you say, we saw the third group last night in the Motorsport UK class. That was the quick one. That was the fast group. So if these guys can put on a show like that, we're going to be in for a good lot of fun in this last race of the evening.
Keep your comments coming in, guys. We're going to get those up in just a second. But before we do that, I need to point this out, because Joe Sumner, I know a story about him when he mechanicked for Will Davis at the British Championships. He went round to all the teams asking if they had a spare box of talent because Will Davis was driving that badly. However, the main part of this story is Will Davis has outqualified Joe Sumner. So there you go. I think he needs to take that box and jump in it for himself. Okay, let's get the comments on screen for you then. Here we go. Jack Dex, team boss. Of course, Jack Dex. Runs Jack Dex Racing now. He is ready to show us team drivers how it is done. Fantastic to see him out there. Of course, had to stop racing due to an injury suffered to his ankle, and turned a positive on that and made a team, and is now teaching drivers in karting. Let's get another one up on screen if we can. Joe Fowler, Sam Spinell, reminds me of 2009 Jenson Button. There we go. I wonder if it's for off track or on track. I don't. I'm sure it's probably for the on track. Let's then read on. Come on, Jack Dex. A lot of support coming in for Jack Dex, as we said. Finished third in the British Championships on 2 occasions. So had a really good run of it, and also raced in the Formula Renault Bark Championship as well. Go Will. I assume that is for Will Davis. Now, if you want to know someone who is that committed to getting to the track, Will Davis brings his car to the track on top of his Fiat Panda. There you go. And I've seen a picture of it. It's the most in-betweenest thing you will ever see. But it is commitment.
I've got to say, we turn up to a lot of circuits and you see, the big trailers, all the kit, all the rest of it. Will's proved it. You don't need any of that. All you need is a Panda. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Great to see that many Jack Dex fans in as well. I've watched a lot of his guys racing at Wilton Mill Kart Club. Big shout out to Wilton Mill Kart Club and Shennington as well. He's quite local to where I am in the world. So, yeah, all that support's great to have him here. And I think he's going to have a good race here. I've got a good feeling about this for Jack. I think he's going to have a strong showing.
As you said, we got some of the older drivers as well. Someone like David Jarvis, for example, 36, won the London Cup back in 2001. Now here he is, almost 20 years later, jumping on the grid for the Motorsport UK Esports Karting Championship. If you told him back then, I bet he would have never believed in an esports championship. Driver's almost half his age. There we go then.
here we go. We're going to get the final race of the evening underway. Brandon Williams and Sam Spinell are going to be on row number 1. Ryan Elliott and Harrison Crook, row 2. Jack Dex and Steph. We're going to, unfortunately, it's a false start. So green and yellow flag gone. They were going to do one more lap and then we will get going as well. So there we go. Let's talk about, we've got some drivers in this from around the globe. One of them being Tesla, of course, for the 24-year-old from Munich. His notable achievement waking up this morning. Let's see if build on that, go through, and then maybe tomorrow he can have a lion instead. But great to see Sam Spinell, again, another one from Brussels. It's great to see in this class that we are having drivers from all around the world getting involved. Alexander van der Wood, I don't mind qualifying for the finals, but I've never driven around PFI. You've got plenty of time to learn it, and you can learn it from your bedroom, thanks to KartSim. It is a hard circuit, definitely. Got to drive it with Ben Barnacle, actually. I did a test day with him there once. Very difficult circuit, very physically draining. Bryony King, I've had to leave my room to avoid distracting Jack. So there we go. You can give them signals from the door, perhaps. Hopefully we can get one more up on screen, maybe. But while we are waiting for that, Andrew, thoughts ahead of this final race? We've had 2 races, one with a lot of drama, one that was a bit more settled. What happens in this final one?
I think I've got to look back to last night in terms of, I mentioned before, you had that very, very fast pace throughout the course of the evening. Might be a little bit different in that we've already seen some very quick lap times come in from the likes of Alex Tyler already. So I think this has the potential to be a bit more frenetic than that third race from last night. I think we've said across the course of the evening, you've got to make sure that you're in the top 6 if you're in one of those earlier races, A or B, because you don't know what's coming in Group C. I actually think you're in the same situation here in Group C. But there's no guarantees that you're going to be able to set one of those 2 fastest lucky loser lap times. So you've got to go for that top 6. You've got to send it, #full send and all of that business. And that could produce some interesting results.
Now, Andrew, whilst we are all in lockdown, one thing a lot of us are going to be doing is going back and watching some old races. We are using the Senior X30 class tonight, so I think this is a good time to perhaps, I'm going to bring up my favourite race and then you're going to do the same. We're going to post on social media after this and people can go and watch them. Best race, two races come to mind for me. One was the very first race I commentated on live, Kart Masters 2014, Kean Jewis from the pit lane in the cadet class to take the win. And the IAME International Final in 2018 Senior X30 race, 15 people for the lead. Some of them ended up on their helmets and some in the trees. But it was a fantastic race, and you just never knew who was going to win. It was like watching the Grand National. We had fallers throughout the race, and then 2 broke away just at the end. What comes to mind for you? What's the best race you've ever commentated?
Oh, I knew you'd ask me that question. We've got a video coming soon on the Alpha Live YouTube channel and social medias. Do make sure that you've have subscribed, of course, of Double Dash Motorsport Media's top 5 races. And one of the reasons why it's taking so long is because there's too many good races and it's really, really hard to whittle them down. So I'll go for the one that definitely has made it in. It's not actually from that long ago. It was last summer. Down at Lyd, part of Club 100. It was the heavyweight final that day at Lyd. And the reason why, for me, it was one of my favourite races in recent years of commentating for Alpha Live is you had Joe Holmes, very, very accomplished driver in the arrive and drive scene. Has kind of been the man to beat for the last 3 or 4 years. But unexpectedly starting from the middle of the pack in a very, very competitive field. And we thought, no, he's not going to win this one. But he does, and it's an absolutely fantastic drive. So, yeah, we'll be posting that one up. Go do check that one out. But I think, Chris, we are about ready to go for our 3rd and final race of the night.
As Andrew mentioned, Alpha Live, all commentators doing their top 5. So do go check those out. Anthony Jordan and Jake Sanson, I believe, the 2 to go up on there so far. So some stuff to watch for you throughout the week. Perhaps tomorrow before we have the final on Thursday, of course, because Thursday evening you have to be joining us. So Brandon Williams and Sam Spinell are going to be our front row when this race gets underway. Ryan Elliott and Harrison Crook are going to be on row number 2. Jack Dex and Stefan Kessler are going to be on row number 3. That is going to be the 6 drivers who hold those top 6 qualifying spots. All they have to do is stay there. It's a lot easier than it sounds, isn't it? It sounds very, very straightforward, but it really isn't, as we're about to find out. Here we go for the final time this evening. Let's get 6 more drivers into the final in the Motorsport UK Open Class. 12 have already guaranteed their spots. 6 more in the top 6 will go through, and then 2 more wildcards. Down the Dragon Straight they go for the first time. A fairly clean start so far, but I don't want to speak too soon. Let's get them all round spoon first. There we go. You can already see it in the background. 1 or 2 drivers going round, kicking up the dust, and a lot more appeared to have followed. But out front, Brandon Williams has stayed on the track. Oh, Ryan Elliott briefly onto the grass there as he almost just found himself on the inside of Sam Spinell. I don't think he was planning to try and go for the move, but he found himself there as a little bit of contact there between him and Harrison Crook. So Ryan Elliott now dropping down to 4th place. Jack Dex, a lot of support for him coming in tonight. He sat there in 5th at the moment. Joe Sumner, a great start from outside of the top 10, and Joe Sumner is up to 6th.
Yeah, really good first lap from Joe. I think your drivers that have been in trouble, lap 1, David Jarvis, Will Davies, unfortunately, and Harry Buck, all towards the bottom end of the order. But it looks like you've got a top 4 at least breaking away. In fact, no, that is the top 6, isn't it? So the top 6, this is where you go into teammate mode in sprint racing. You just work together at this point, even though you're individuals and they'll all be gunning for it in the final at PFI. They've got to get there first, so they've got to work together at this stage and keep that nice gap that they've got to Julio Scrinzi there in 7th, keeping that gap, because at the moment I think it's about 1.2 seconds, Chris.
Scrinzi, as you said, he's the one just sitting outside at the moment. He needs to just get his head down now and try and chase down Joe Sumner here. Really, he could be relying on this battle we're watching. If it kicks off between Harrison Crook and Ryan Elliott, then that could bring the likes of Dex and Sumner into play. And then if it's a 4-way battle, then Scrinzi, Aldis and Belladonna, have a chance of closing in. And Kessler as well, Stefan Kessler there in 10th place. So here they come across the line one more time through turn number 1, lap number 4 of 15. Two leaders are away and clear. Brandon Williams and Sam Spinell. This is the main battle on circuit at the moment. It is Ryan Elliott there trying to chase down Harrison Crook.
Yeah, and he's really putting Crook under a lot of pressure at this stage of the race. And I think Jack Dex has probably got the best seat in the house at the moment, watching these two going at it. But Ryan, the 18-year-old from Stockton on Tees, has done a lot of sim racing. Plenty of VWC, was part of the VMO BTCC event, which I think he won last week, racing against the likes of Colin Turkington and James Gornall, so he knows what he's doing, still there in 4th. Here on board now with Sam Spinell, who's just set, Chris, the fastest lap of the race so far, 41.206. Brandon Williams, that's the driver just ahead. I've got to say that the KartSim driver, considerably shorter than Brandon Williams in real life. It's quite strange to see Brandon Williams looking that size. But side by side here through the entry to Devil's Elbow, it's Elliott and Crook, and it's Elliott, I think he has. That's a fantastic manoeuvre round the outside of Harrison Crook there. So Ryan Elliott clearly not feeling comfortable there in 4th place, wants to get on with it, has taken 3rd place, and is now going to try and set off to catch the top 2. But saying that, Brandon Williams has just responded to Sam Spinell's pace. He's just set the fastest lap of the race so far, 41.196. But look at this, Crook now fighting back against Elliott. And Jack Dex and Joe Sumner will be rubbing their hands at this with the opportunity to gain a few more positions and be further inside that top 6. But what will the likes of Scrinzi and even Jack Aldis be thinking behind? They'll be hoping that this fight continues and starts to hold other drivers up.
Yeah, there you can see Jack Dex going to be kind of closing down, but I think Ryan Elliott has finally kind of consolidated this 3rd place now, seems to be breaking away. So let's see if Crook can at all respond. But at the moment, both of these two are going to go through, as are Dex and Sumner. Scrinzi is the one that we ride on board with now, and he's not too far behind Joe Sumner at all, is he? Closing Joe Sumner down now as they head through Carousel on lap number 7. We are exactly at halfway stage, 7.5 down, 7.5 to go as we make our way downhill one more time. Here is Scrinzi trying to close in, takes the curb and the grass there through the left-hand hairpin. And now a look outside, and we can see also closing in is Jack Oldest there in 8th place. So Jack, the 16-year-old from Orpington, who races at Bayford Meadows, also getting involved in this now, closing in on Scrinzi and Sumner. So this is lining up to be a real good battle, this, Andrew. It's lap number 8 of 15, so still plenty of time left in this race, and Joe Sumner is not safe at all, and that's 6th place.
And I think you've got to do it on race position here, Chris. I don't think any of these drivers are going to be able to produce a lap time similar to Alex Tyler's 41.109 from earlier in the evening. All of them very consistent, very evenly matched, but all in the 41.5s. That's not going to be good enough tonight to get you through the wildcard spots and into the final at PFI. So it's all on this 6th place now. Can Joe Sumner keep it together and keep that spot, keep his entry in the final alive? Here we're looking at Jack Aldous now in the green helmet. He's there in 8th place. Scrinzi in the red helmet starts to get very, very close to the back of Joe Sumner now as we enter the final third of this semi-final at Glan-Y-Gors. Hope you are enjoying the coverage here on Alpha Live, and Scrinzi goes up the inside there, and I think he's lost out. Yes, he has. So Jack Aldous is now up into 7th place. That wasn't really, for me, Chris, it's a bit of a 50-50 move there into Devil's Elbow, and Scrinzi will be kicking himself now because instead of being forward a spot, he's lost one and has got it all to do to make the final at PFI.
For me, that move was just simply never going to work. But let's not reflect on it too much because we are still seeing this battle for 6th, and it is even closer now than it was before. Joe Sumner under all sorts of pressure, and he's definitely feeling it, isn't he? Off onto the grass there as they came through Carousel. Jack Aldous has got a really good chance here, the 16-year-old. Can he sneak a move on the inside of Joe Sumner, who's coming through the left-hander now into the final corner? Anytime they've gone through there, you'd have to say as long as Sumner can get through Devil's Elbow in that 6th place, he should hold on. But Jack Aldous has to just try and relax. He has got pressure from behind, but more than anything, Scrinzi and Kessler will want him to make that move on Sumner. It seems, Andrew, that Aldous is better through the first half of the lap and Sumner is better through the second half.
Yeah, I've got to agree, Chris, but we've got to remember Adrian Ionesco had this same situation in Group A where he was in that 6th place under a lot of pressure. He kept it all together and took the spoils of war and took that position into the final. But oh, was that a little mistake there by Sumner through Devil's Elbow? There's one line through it, and if you get off it, you're in real trouble for a good couple of corners. And there's a bit of contact, I think, as well there between Aldous and Sumner, and they're both in the wall and through. I think went Scrinzi. Yes, so Scrinzi's got up into 6th place. Sumner has got going again, but lost a number of positions, and Jack Aldous is still stranded on the exit of turn number 1. What drama here at Glan-Y-Gors.
What happened there really was Aldous had gone for a move at that first corner, just didn't appear to be enough alongside to complete it. It's flat out through turn number 1, so you need to be fully alongside to be making a move into there, and I just don't think I don't think Sumner, saw the move coming, turned in, and that was that. Both of them went round, so a real shame. Jack Aldous saw an opportunity, went for it. Sumner didn't see him. Racing incident, in my opinion. But nevertheless, it has benefited Scrinzi. He's now gone into that 6th and final qualifying space. Where are we in terms of lap times, Andrew? Do we have anyone in this race that could take those final 2 spaces?
I don't think so, Chris. There are some very quick drivers out there. Brandon Williams and Sam Spinale have both set 41.0s and 40.9s, but they're qualifying anyway, being first and second in this race. Everybody else out there, I think that the fastest lap outside of the top 6 at the moment is David Jarvis in 11th on a 41.316. Good lap time, but not good enough for me this stage, this provisional stage of the evening, to beat the likes of Bradley Shepherd and Alex Tyler. Meanwhile, here we're looking at Chloe Buckley in 9th, fighting, I think that's Stefan Kessler there in 10th, and there's contact into Spoon Corner, and Stefan Kessler with a robust move, shall we say, through and into 9th place there on Chloe Buckley. But I don't think Chloe Buckley will be too pleased about that one, because there was a fair amount of contact.
Yeah, not at all. It was definitely a robust move, wasn't it? As through the spoon, here you can see Sam Spinell trying to close down Brandon Williams. Both of these two, very sensible race so far. Very good drive from the pair of them. Both been hugely consistent, and that sees them over 4 seconds clear from Ryan Elliott. There has been a lot of battling going on behind. I think it's fair we have to say that. But nevertheless, these two have been setting blistering pace. That is why they are over 4 seconds clear. Harrison Crook is then in 4th place. Jack Dex, a lot of support for him. He looks like he's going to make it, and that is indeed the flag, isn't it? So checkered flag waves. Brandon Williams and Sam Spinell will be 1st and 2nd. Ryan Elliott 3rd. 4th, Harrison Crook. Dexy goes through. Then we have Scrinzy taking the 6th and final spot. So they are the 6 that will go through, Andrew, and they should be joined by Shepherd and Tyler.
Yeah, really, really good stuff. We thought before this race that it was all going to be about position, considering how quick the wildcard spots or the wildcard benchmark was going into this one. And sure enough, I've got to say, well done to Julio Scrinzi, because, again, he was the driver, wasn't he, who kept it all together. You had to stay calm in that situation. There was always going to be some form of incident. But, yeah, well done to him for making sure that he was in 6th place. And not 7th or lower. Jack Tex as well. I know we've got a lot of support for him on the stream tonight. Thank you for all your comments. Great to see him through to the final as well. Was a very, very talented driver back in the day. It's a fantastic team owner. It's great to see so many people coming out for him. 5th place for him in this one. The one request, though, I'd love to see the JDR colours in KartSim in the future. That red, white and blue livery is really one of my favourites when, say, the likes of Sam Baker at Shannington and Bradley Beavers at Wilson Mill have running it. So it would be great in the future if we can get liveries into the game, because I think that one would look really good.
Why not? I'm sure it's something the guys will work on in the future, perhaps. But of course, at the moment, all fairly new to us, and the winners are going to get the pro version of the game, and they will also get a trip to the Motorsport UK Awards evening. All wildcards will be double confirmed on the Alpha Life Facebook page, so make sure you check there. I wouldn't rely on us to, because we haven't been reliable at times. Know the checkered flag had waved. There we go. But that will all be confirmed. Don't forget the under 12 category. I was going to say all our finalists are confirmed. That is not the case. In the Motorsport UK class and Motorsport UK Open Class, that is, although the Open Class wildcards will be confirmed on our Facebook page. However, the under 12 category, there will be a further repechage race on Thursday before the finals get underway. So the 18 drivers that have not made it through, they will compete in a qualifying session and a race at PFI. The top 2 will go through. So that's going to be a really, really fantastic way to kick off the evening. Sometimes things happen for a reason, don't they? And I think that is why that's happened. For those of you who are wondering why we are doing that, is because we believe quite a few of the drivers in that race unfortunately had technical issues that were out of their control. So after all the hard work the guys have been putting in during hot laps last week, we only feel it is fair to give them a fair shot at getting through to the final. So that is where we are at the competition. Semi-finals done. We now pretty much have all our finalists confirmed. Only one more day of the competition to go in the East Series. That is the final. Other than the repechage race that we're going to have to kick us off, Andrew, it'll be 20 drivers in each class, Motorsport UK Under 12 and Motorsport UK Open, and it will be a race to the flag, 8-minute qualifying session, 15-lap race around PFI. Winner takes all.
Yeah, as you say, very, very similar to how things go down at Kart Masters in the middle of the year at PF International. The qualifying, I think, is going to be incredibly important to settle the nerves for anyone. It's not impossible to race through in an 8-minute race, but you definitely do make your job a lot harder for yourself if you have not qualified well. PF International as a circuit, very, very intriguing one, especially since they put the extension in and with the Litchfield Bridge. It's another circuit that for me has got different aspects to it, almost like 3 tracks in one. You've got the first sector with the sweeping bends under the bridge, then round over the bridge and then down the hill. Very, very almost Suzuka-like in that sense, the sweeping corners, very high speed. Then you go into the hairpins, the sequence of hairpins, similar to a Bookmore Park, perhaps, which obviously the drivers will have experienced back during the Hot Laps qualifier round of this competition. That's very tricky to get right, to get your braking points, you're on the power, off the power points correct. And then you get to the last sector, which is almost a little bit similar to what we've seen tonight, a slower, more technical point of the circuit. So it's a great circuit to have a final in that respect, because to be quick round PFI, you've got to be an all-rounder. You can't be good at one side of the track and not so good at the other, because at the end of the day, that means you won't be at the front of the field. It's going to be a very, very intriguing watch.
I think it's going to be closer, definitely, including the under 12s as well. Some of the under 12 races settled down quite quickly, but I think it's going to be a lot closer around PF International. Longer straights around there, heavy braking zones. Most people know PFI. I think that's the other difference as well. Most people tend to know the circuit very, very well. If they don't, that's usually the one they go and practice. With GYG, things can easily spread out because of how tight and quick it is in that second half of the track. With PFI, it's a lot more of a classic kart circuit, chicane, so on. So I think personally it's going to be close around there. I think the racing is going to be fantastic. Of course, Andrew, you weren't with us on commentary for yesterday, so I won't put you on the spot there, but I'm going to put you on the spot for the Open Class. Who do you reckon? Who would you put your money on for the Open Class?
Ooh, it's a toss-up for me between Brandon Williams, because I've watched him so many times, and this is his bag. Racing at the front, and taking those one-off races is something he's very, very good at. But Kieran Shanks' form in terms of pace, how he was through hot laps, how he just completely dominated that first race, annihilated the field. Very, very hard to not go for him at this point of the competition to not win the final in the Open Championship. It's going to take a mighty, mighty effort to just get close to him, never mind beat him. So for that reason, I'm going to go with Kieran Shanks after this semi-final evening.
There we go. That is Andrew's pick. I'm sure you'll be watching along with us, Andrew, on Thursday as well, will you?
I will be.
Oh, good stuff. And make sure you guys do tune in as well. Thursday at 7:15 is when we will be live, and we will have the final for all 3 classes. It's set to be a fantastic evening of racing, and we will crown our first champions in the Motorsport UK Esports Karting Championship. It's going to be a brilliant evening. I'm sure we have to say at this point a thanks to all the partners of the championship. Of course, Motorsport UK bringing this to you in association with Alpha Live, who are bringing you the pictures this evening, KartSim and Motorsport Games as well. And we also have to say a thanks to our sponsors as well, Fusion and Synergy. Synergy, of course, a renowned chassis in the cadet class, one of the most successful. They actually did their initial test for that chassis over in Lanzarote, and that is why it's so good in the summer months when, of course, the National Series run, and we know how many titles they have, 4 in the last 6 years. We're going to leave you with some more details on them, but from myself and Andrew, thank you for watching. Remember, stay safe, stay home, and we will see you on Thursday at 7:15.